On today's show, I'm going to tell you all the underrated ways the Mavericks won Game 2 against the Clippers and why Kawhi Leonard actually kind of made them a little worse. We'll talk about why on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
Welcome. You're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're kind of let it ride a little bit again today. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen today, where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day on any podcast platform, leave a 5-star review on those platforms, like the video on YouTube, and comment anything below. Let me know, what's one underrated way the Mavericks won Game 2, something that people aren't talking about? Let me know in the comment section. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I gotta admit it, really wanted the Mavericks to win that game. I got a competitive side. I'm a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on a classic Monopoly game. So join your friends, download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. Today, we're getting into some underrated ways the Mavericks won Game 2. There's a bunch of random stuff that I wanted to talk about in yesterday's episode that I didn't get to. Kids challenge, Gafford's injury, Luka's pass with 12 seconds left. It was one of the most amazing passes we've seen, and just kind of all yawned at it. Luka and Kyrie's energy, their defense in special ways. And then I'm going to tell you why Kawhi Leonard kind of made the Clippers a little worse in Game 2. Why it was somewhat of an advantage for the Mavericks. I'm going to try to make my case on that one. But I got to start here. The Mavericks went on a 14-0 run in the fourth quarter in Game 2 against the Clippers. And in the post-game episode, we were so hyped and we were so amped. I don't know that we gave this enough credit. And so I'm going to go through, and we're going to run through that 14-0 run. What's in a run? What made it happen? What were the little things that made this run happen? So this is how it started. Mavericks in the fourth quarter. The Clippers only had a 1-point lead a couple different times in the game. They had never gotten more than a 1-point lead throughout the game. With 9:30 left in the fourth quarter, the Clippers go up 73-67. So they're up by 6 at that point. And all of a sudden, they just start, like, a 6-point lead was huge in that game. I think 9 ended up being the largest lead of the game total. So 6 felt, that's potentially 3 possessions. That was massive in that game. And it felt like it was starting to slip away from this Mavericks team. And in that fourth quarter, you go, all right, well, if this is going to start to happen, Clippers went on a 7-2 run to make that happen. There was just some weird ref calls before that, a bad sequence where Westbrook, it's the play that's going viral on Twitter right now if you've been on it. I tweeted it out at Nick Van Exit, where Westbrook just rakes Lively right across the arm, doesn't even get ball. They don't call anything on it, and the Clippers social media tweets it out and goes, Westbrook said nope. And I'm like, I think the refs said nope on that one. Lots of calls you can dispute in that game for sure, but that was happening. There was some weird calls on one side. There was the Clippers were starting to go on a run, and when the Clippers offense starts rolling, they're legit. We saw it in Game 1. This Clippers offense is not something to just not write home about, or to write home about. It's not something to write home about. Wouldn't you write home about it if it was notable? It's definitely something to write home about. I guess let's put it that way. I did a double negative with it. And so when they start rolling, you don't want them to all of a sudden figure it out in the fourth quarter, and then you don't have it. So a timeout is called. The Mavs put in the starters and Maxey at the 5, so they kind of go to their smaller unit there. And here's what happened after that. On offense, here are the possessions. Luka, post up, throws it over to PJ Washington, pump fake, drive. He waits underneath the basket. He scores over Kawhi Leonard, and a really great play, great patience off of a Luka post-up that made something happen. A minute later, Luka post-up. He got fouled on a jumper against James Harden. He only makes one of the free throws. Again, a Luka post-up. 7:41, Luka got the switch. Norman Powell was guarding him. Kawhi comes over and helps a little bit too hard and kind of hedges there. Luka swings the ball over to Maxey, swings the ball over to PJ Washington. 3. Again, it's Luka drawing in the defense on the post in the switch. Another one, 7 minutes left in the game. Kawhi Leonard gets kind of confused in transition. The Mavericks have the ball. Luka's bringing the ball up the court. Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers kind of get confused a little bit. Kawhi doesn't pick Luka up At the three-point line, Luka step back three. That's the first time that he starts screaming at the sidelines, which is just an amazing feeling in the arena, by the way. He's screaming at the sidelines. It's a 9-0 run by the Mavericks. They go up by 3 at this point. And so it's Luka taking advantage of post-ups, taking advantage of switches, or the defense not paying attention, or the defense maybe hedging a little bit too, or not really deciding what they wanted to do, not sending help. Another possession. Luka post up, and they run the Luka divide. The play that I've dubbed the Luka divide. I've talked about it all season, where Luka and Kyrie basically pass the ball back and forth. One of them is either in a post up, sometimes they're just on the 3-point line, and they slowly get farther and farther apart from each other until the defense commits to one of them, and then all of a sudden the other one has a wide open shot. So Luka posts up, Kyrie slowly inches away from him. Luka and him pass the ball back and forth, and then Kyrie gets an open shot and he hits the shot. Last offensive play. It's the Kyrie drive against Paul George, right into the push shot, take advantage, kind of a mismatch, but really just Kyrie making a really dang good play. And so I think what happened in this offensive sequence, in this 14-0 run, is that Luka took advantage and figured out their defense in a way. You've got to make them second guess everything. Make them second guess. It happened every single time. Kawhi, second guessed on the pump fake against PJ in the first possession. James Harden kind of second guessed himself, and then he fouled Luka on that. Kawhi second guessed himself a little bit on helping over on Luka and didn't commit to it, and then Maxey was able to swing it over to PJ for a 3. Then Kawhi Kawhi and the Clippers get confused on a cross match. I don't think these are all Kawhi's fault, by the way. I think he was just the guy that ended up coming in to try and save the day, and it didn't work. Then the Luka divide, where the Clippers get confused and they commit to one of the guys, and the other guy gets a wide open shot. You don't help off of Luka or Kyrie. So what happens if both of them are passing the ball back and forth? This is Luka figuring it out, and we've seen this in playoffs. In playoff series, Luka will eventually figure out the defense, and I think he may have found some things. Now, this is not like groundbreaking stuff that I'm realizing here, but it's Luka realizing the tendencies of the Clippers and realizing the tendencies of some of these guys. And then Kyrie, the same thing on that last play. The drive past Paul George, and he realizes if I can throw up an off-rhythm shot, maybe it catches him off guard. On defense, these are the possessions. We'll go through them quickly here. 8:36, Zubac tries to post up Maxey. Kyrie shows a little bit of help. Zubac misses the little runner or the little hook shot. Westbrook gets the offensive rebound. Kawhi misses a 3. Maxey gets the rebound, and he gets fouled. The defense, to me, all these different plays I'm about to talk about, is all about effort. It's all about the Mavericks' effort and finishing plays, because there's a couple offensive rebounds in here, a couple extra opportunities in here that the Mavericks just shut down at the end. So you get that one where Maxey gets the rebound at the end. Clippers got 2 opportunities in that possession. They just missed. 7:53. Luka plays really good defense on Kawhi. He pokes the ball away. Then Kawhi gets the ball back. Derrick Jones Jr. doesn't give up on the play. When the ball was loose, the Mavericks could have just looked down the court and been like, all right, let me run down the court to get down there, and maybe I'll be the first one to get the layup. They didn't give up on the defensive play. Derrick Jones Jr. comes in and pokes the ball away from Kawhi again, and then Kyrie gets the steal there. 7:24. This is where Paul George falls down. It was a Luka foul. It was a weird call. Clippers get the ball again. 7:10. Clippers are really slow getting into their offense. Really, really slow. So Harden has to force up a tough shot against Maxey. He misses. The Mavericks make a shot on the other end. The Clippers go small after this. They take Zubac out and they go small. Then the only play in this whole thing where I think the Mavericks, that the Clippers got a really good shot. 6:39. Kawhi beats Luka off of a drive. Then the Clippers swing it around off of some help that Maxey came over to help on Kawhi. The Clippers swing it around. Norman Powell gets a wide open 3, and he just ends up missing it. Clippers got a wide open shot. It wasn't great. It wasn't great defense by the Mavericks, but it was just good offensive play. Then Norman Powell gets hit in the eye by Kyrie, so that's a foul. They get another kind of chance there. Slowly getting closer to the bonus. 5:50. Luka plays amazing defense on Kawhi. Maxey comes over to help real quick. Kawhi misses. Then Norman Powell somehow gets the rebound, but has to throw up a wild shot because Maxey and PJ and Kyrie are right there swarming around the ball too. He misses. Westbrook somehow flies in and gets the offensive rebound, so another chance for the Clippers, and they miss. And Maxey is just there fighting his German tail off, his Wiener Schnitzel off. And he gets the rebound. He fights the rebound. They get it. Mavs score on the other end. 14-0 run. The Mavericks with figuring out the tendencies of the Clippers with Luka just being a genius, trying to figure out exactly where to go and what timing to hit these guys on offense and defense. It's effort and ending plays. The Mavericks have defensive enders now that can end plays. And they didn't give up on any of the possessions on defense. They stayed connected. And the Clippers only got one good shot out of that whole run right there. The 14-0 run was incredible. Absolutely incredible. Underrated part of this. And I think there are some things that they can repeat in there for sure. I think they got, we'll see how the Clippers change and adjust and all that. I expect that they will, but that 14-0 run was absolutely amazing. It deserves all the credit. It's an underrated part of that Mavericks win. And let's talk about how I think Kawhi Leonard, and I've kind of already hinted at it, see if you could have guessed where it was earlier, how Kawhi Leonard kind of made them worse. And I don't think how Kawhi Leonard kind of made them worse, and the Mavericks were able to guard them. We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, patience. It's exactly what the Mavericks had in that run. It's the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle, to level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, LED headlights, exhaust kits, more stuff like that. Jake Madison from Locked On Pelicans, I went and visited him back in November, and I got to see his cars that he works on. He works on a couple cars, and he gets all of his parts from eBay Motors. He swears by them. So they've got that eBay guaranteed fit, so you know that part is going to fit your car every time. That's what he loves about it. So that way you're not wasting your time on this, and you're not wasting your money on it. With all the parts that you need and all the prices that you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at eBay Motors. ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit only available to U.S. customers. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad that is growing every single day, and I love it. I love how much it's growing. Shout out to David Weaver. Shout out to the Dallas highlighter who I sat next to during the game, in game 2. Shout out to everybody that I saw in LA. Amazing. I'm so excited for the Mavs game on Friday. I hope to see a lot of you. I should be around the 123 section, so come and say hi. See if we can see how many Raccoon Squad members we can get all together at once. I love meeting you guys there. So come check me out around 123 and come say hi, and we'll talk. Okay. I think Kawhi Leonard kind of made them worse. Kawhi Leonard comes into the game. He warms up before the game, and let me just tell you, I didn't really go into this in yesterday's show, but Kawhi Leonard, they say that Woj reports before the game, he's going to warm up. He's a game time decision. They're going to see how he feels after he warms up. So Kawhi Leonard starts warming up, and I'm like, all right, I'm going out there. I got to see Kawhi Leonard warm up. So I'm out there, standing there, watching him warm up. I think I tweeted a video. I posted some on Instagram at Nick Van Exit. And I'm watching him, and he's kind of like walking through it all. Some guys in warm-ups I've noticed throughout the years will do a couple of like game speed things. Especially if they're the only one on the court, like these stars I'm talking about. The rookies, like, you know, on the other side of the court while Kawhi is warming up and every single person in the room is watching him. Lively and Omax were warming up together on the other side. So some of those guys, they'll warm up at the same time as somebody else. But for stars like Luka, Kyrie, they're usually on the court by themselves there. And Kawhi was by himself on the court, and he didn't do anything full speed, and nothing even like half speed. I mean, he is walking into shots. He didn't do anything that took more than like 1 or 2 steps. So 1 step up into a shot. He's just kind of taking jumpers. I mean, it just looked like he was out there just, I guess, trying to get warm, but not even really. I mean, he's just taking a couple jump shots, like just getting into it. He just felt like he was trying to get into a rhythm. To me, it didn't look like he was trying to land on that right leg. It's been this right knee inflammation that he's had for a while. He's had problems with his right knee for years and years and years. It didn't look like he wanted to land on it very much. And so Kawhi Leonard's out there, and he's warming up, and you're like, all right, well, here we go. So while Kawhi Leonard is warming up, he's still on the court. Ty Lue is in his press conference. I skipped the pregame pressers because I wanted to watch Kawhi work out. And Ty Lue in the presser says, hey, he's available to play today. So much for we're going to wait to see how he warms up and then decide after that, because he was still on the court, and they had already decided that he was going to play. The Clippers and their information has been wild this whole time. So Kawhi, he warms up and he plays 35 minutes in this game. Ty Lue had been asked if Kawhi had gone through any contact, and he said there'll be contact tonight. I don't know what that means. Maybe he has gone through contact, But if you don't go through contact, that means you haven't really played any live possessions or anything like that. You've just done drills and you've just done solo stuff and you've just done one-on-one and you haven't really like played basketball after coming back from injury. He'd been out since the beginning of April. I mean, it's been 3 weeks. He hasn't played any contact at all. So a wild decision from the Clippers, I think. With all the information we've been given, they could have done something completely different than what we know. They've already been fined already for lying about injuries at the end of the season. But Kawhi Leonard, I think, made them a little bit worse in a way. Not because he was injured and because he was ineffective. 7 of 17. I mean, Zubac went 5 of 12. James Harden went 6 of 14. All kind of shot the same percentage. So it's not like he was ridiculously worse. He missed all 5 of his threes. That was bad. But he made a bunch of his twos, and he was really unguardable at times, just like he is. But what I think Kawhi added to the team that I think the Clippers kind of have to figure out, that I think it benefits the Mavericks, is that Kawhi makes their offense slow. So slow. Think about that one possession I mentioned in that 14-0 run. 7:10 left in the game. After Paul George falls down, that weird Luka foul, the offense is just slow. Kawhi has the ball. He's kind of getting into it a little bit slower. Then he throws it over to Paul George, and then he doesn't really do anything, and then they throw it over to Harden. He's got to force a shot. The offense just really slows down, and it becomes so much more predictable. Now, predictable with Kawhi is what he does. You know what he's going to do. Every time a Maverick drives into him when Kawhi is on defense, Gafford did it the other night in game 2. Derrick Jones Jr. did it in game 2. They drive right into him, and he strips the ball every single time, completely clean. He's the claw. That's why. He's completely predictable, and you expect it. But on offense, he's so predictable because you know where he's going to go. You know the spots he's going to try to get to. You know how he's going to get into that shot. It's just impossible to stop him. That's why people say he's got that kind of Kobe, Michael Jordan type DNA. Because you know what he's going to do. He's still going to do it. And he's still going to take advantage of you. And he's still going to beat you to a spot, pull up, and hit a shot over top of you. But for the Clippers as a team, it made them slower. It made their offense more predictable. And what the Clippers had in the first game with James Harden at the helm and with Paul George running off of like massive screens, where I talked about, it's like Paul George was running across the entire three-point line across a couple screens. James Harden running pick and roll with Zubac, making him unpredictable. Where's he going to pass? What's he going to do? Everybody's running around. When you make the Mavericks have to play catch up on defense, they've been worse than when they just have to win the matchup in front of you. Don't get beat in front, like with the matchup in front of you. Stay home. Maybe somebody comes over to help, and we'll rotate a little bit here and there. Maybe it's 1 pass, 2 pass. We're okay with that. But what the Boston Celtics did to the Mavericks earlier in the season that absolutely killed them, what the Pacers did earlier in the season that killed them, was they made them play catch up. The Mavericks had to play catch up. Their rotating defense all of a sudden was like, wait, we got to go over here, and we got to catch up to this, and we got to do this, and we got to go over there, and blah, blah, blah. That's what happened with Paul George and James Harden at the helm. But with Kawhi, it's like, all right, well, we're just going to slow down. We're going to go into this methodical thing, and the Mavericks can defend that. And I think Kawhi Leonard kind of made the Clippers a little bit more predictable, a little worse. Now, overall, you absolutely want Kawhi Leonard to play and to do all that and to defend the way that he can. And he won't go 0 of 5 from 3 every single game. Absolutely not. But I think in game 2, it maybe won't be the same in game 3, 4, 5, whatever. But definitely in game 2, I think he made them a little worse. And I'm sticking with that. I'm sticking with it. Let me do a random thing, underrated thing that happened before I go into Luka and Kyrie, their defense, and a couple other things. The way that the Mavericks guarded Zubac early, I think was kind of interesting, because Zubac in game 1 was the big thing that, man, all of a sudden the Clippers scored like 3 or 4 times in a row on Gafford with Zubac. And that was a new thing that we hadn't been used to in the past and kind of didn't expect. It was a great move by them. Zubac has really worked hard, it seems, and has gotten better. But the Mavericks just allowed anybody to kind of pick him up, and then they sent help. Send help to him. They sent help to Zubac, and they just trusted each other and trusted in their defense to rotate. In game 1, they didn't send any help. They were just like, Gafford, you just win. Win that matchup one-on-one. And he just didn't. And so early, they went to Zubac again. 1 possession. Kyrie was on him, and then all of a sudden, before the Clippers could get the entry pass in, Derrick Jones Jr. came over and helped and all that. Another thing, this was another reason why I think Kawhi Leonard made them a little worse, is that right there, what I just mentioned. When the Clippers are slow to get in their offense, they're slow to make their initial entry passes, they're slow to make their swing passes and all that, the Mavericks can reset their defense in the middle of the play. There were several times in this game where the Clippers got the matchup that they wanted. They got the switch that they wanted, either Luka on somebody, Kyrie on somebody, and they were so slow to get into what they wanted to do that Paul George or that PJ Washington or Derrick Jones Jr. just walked up and were like, hey, I'll take them back, and just kind of shrugged like, hey, I'll defend them now again. Like, the Mavericks switched back and reset their defense manually right in the middle of the play because the Clippers were slow to get into it. And so I think that's one way that the Kawhi Leonard thing helped the Mavericks. They were slow to get into their offense. The Mavericks were able to guard Zubac a little bit better because they were slower to do, like they were able to send some help because it was slow getting into what they wanted to do and all that. That's why I think Kawhi Leonard made the Clippers just a little worse and made them a little more predictable. We'll see how that changes in game 3. I'm sure it absolutely will, but that's what I think from that. Coming up, let's talk about Jason Kidd's challenge. What did he say about that after the game? Then a couple more random things, as well as Luka and Kyrie's defense that I want to talk about. Reasons why the Mavericks won in game 2. Coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. BetterHelp. I have so many situations in my life where I'm just like, I just need to talk to somebody. I just gotta get this off my chest. I just gotta talk to somebody about this. And I want it to be private, and I want to talk to somebody without the worry of them telling somebody else about it. Right? And something innocuous that's about me, something that, won't cause me harm, but like, I'm embarrassed to tell somebody. Well, tell somebody where they're not gonna tell anybody else because they don't know anybody else in your life. That's kind of relieving for somebody that has things that you're in your life that you're stressed about or worried about and all that. Therapy can be different for everybody. Most of us have bigger problems than our favorite sports team, and it's important to get things off your chest every once in a while. So check out BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. You get 10% off your first month. If you're starting to think about therapy, give BetterHelp a try. I've used it. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible, suited to your schedule. Again, BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. We also want to tell you about DoorDash. DoorDash. Get food to your door. They can also get other stuff to your door too. That's the cool thing about DoorDash now, is that you can get all kinds of other things delivered. You can get stuff delivered to your mom for Mother's Day. Have you tried to use some of those flower services? I have. I've tried to use some of those different services where you send the flowers. Have you ever watched the Good Place episode where they talk about how insane those companies can be sometimes with the way that they deliver, and like how the carbon footprint and all that? How about you just get somebody from DoorDash to go to a grocery store, pick up flowers for you, and go deliver it to your mom wherever she lives. Mine lives out of state, and so I need somebody to go deliver it for me. If I didn't have any other options, DoorDash would be a great one. So get all your Mother's Day gifts in one place. Check out DoorDash. Get 50% off your next order, up to $15. You spend $15 or more on your next flower, convenience, grocery store, or retail order. Now, retail order. You can do retail. Go pick up some pants. Go pick up a pair of pants for me. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA. Order using DoorDash today. Again, you get $15 off when you spend $15 or more. Order using DoorDash today. LOCKEDONNBA.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right, Isaac, let's get into the rest of this. A couple other random things, reasons why the Mavericks won this game. Talked about how Kawhi Leonard kind of made their defense or their offense a little bit slower, and it made the Clippers more predictable and the Mavericks easier to defend them. Said that. All kinds of great ways. Luka's defense in this game, we did talk about it yesterday, but I wanted to highlight it again because we talked about it before ESPN Stats and Info had posted this, that Clippers only scored 5 points on Luka in the whole game. James Harden scored 3 on a 3. He went 1 of 5 against Luka. Terrence Mann, 0 for 2. Norman Powell, 0 for 2. Kawhi Leonard, 0 for 2. We talked about a couple of them in that run. Mason Plumlee, 0 for 2. Amir Coffey hit a shot against Luka. Westbrook was 0 for 1, and Zubac was 0 for 1. Luka's defense was amazing. The best defense I think we've ever seen from him. And he was absolutely awesome. An underrated part of this, which it is not really underrated because everybody's really talking about it right now. But I thought that it's insane to see Luka just step up. And he said after the game, the Mavericks were saying that they were going to send help for me on defense. And I said, no, I want to take advantage of the matchup. That's leadership right there. That's leadership. That's somebody stepping up and saying, you know what? Like, I need to take advantage of this, and I need to take care of my business. I need to take care of my business. You know what? I think that
He played mate. Sorry.
he did. He played amazing. Absolutely amazing. His favorite word. The other thing about defense is that I think Kyrie has found his motivation in this series. Earlier in the season, when the Mavericks played the Clippers and Kyrie played, I noticed that, and this is not something brand new, but I noticed that anytime James Harden is involved, Kyrie perks up and he plays a little harder and he defends a little harder. And he picked up James Harden on defense a lot in this game. And there are moments in the fourth quarter and in the third quarter where he's picking up James Harden and he's just trying to be annoying against him. He's leaning against him. He's like, grabbing the ball after the play and things like that. Kyrie is taking this kind of personal, I think. This is just speculation. Me looking at the situation, looking at how both sides interacted. James Harden didn't seem like he wanted anything to do with Kyrie. They have that history in Brooklyn where Kyrie didn't want to take the vaccine, so he didn't play, and it was reported that James Harden was frustrated because of that. That's one of the reasons why he requested a trade and went to the Sixers and then all that. I think there's something there for sure. And I think this is motivating Kyrie. And I think Kyrie's taking that, and I think that he's running with it. And I think that's an underrated reason why the Mavericks won that game. Because Kyrie was playing defense, and you got to have some other kind of motivation on defense, because think about all the star players we've seen, just like the Michael Jordan making up a guy to just have motivation. You've got to have something in you, because you have to be on for every single possession you're playing defensively against this Clippers team. So I think that was Kyrie's extra motivation. Luka and Kyrie exerting energy. I thought they were gassed in the third quarter, and they found a well, and they pulled right out of it, and I thought that was amazing. Fourth quarter, with like 4 minutes left in the game, Luka looks over at the sidelines and motions for a timeout, like does the T motion with his hands and calls a timeout. I thought that was notable because I've never seen him do that really. Maybe a couple times in his career so far, but like call a timeout. Jason Kidd said after the game, Luka never wants to call a timeout or come out of the game. He doesn't want the game to stop. He wants to just keep playing. He doesn't want it to stop. But in that moment, he needed a rest. Jason Kidd found a way to get him some extra rest, called a timeout during some free throws. So that gave him some extended rest. Really smart ways to get these guys some extra rest. So they finished the game playing 45, almost 46 minutes for Luka and 42 minutes for Kyrie, but they found little ways in there to get them rest. I think that was really smart by the coaching staff. Also smart by the coaching staff, Kidd's challenge. With 20 seconds left, Kyrie had that foul against Kawhi in the and one. At that point, that was a really massive play because the Mavericks were only up by 3 at that point. The Clippers were kind of clawing back after the Mavs won on there. We're up by 9. And Jason Kidd said after the game, he said, we had 2 timeouts left. So we thought, hey, if we're wrong on this, we could burn one of these timeouts. It's fine. And Kyrie said it to him that he hit ball. And so we had to trust Kyrie. They didn't really look at the footage. He said they didn't really have time to look at like the footage. They've got those iPads on the side, and sometimes they can look at it before, but they just trusted Kyrie and they went with it. And that challenge was absolutely massive and really big on Kidd to just hold that. And I know that sometimes we get mad at him for holding some of these challenges, but he held it till exactly the right time. Random things. 12 seconds left in the game. The Mavericks need to run some clock. They're only up 3 at this point, right? And Luka is in the backcourt with the ball. There's multiple Clippers running at him. And halfway across the court is Terrence Mann running, try to catch up to Kyrie. And I think James Harden on the other side, on the sideline there. And Luka has to throw this pass right between the two of them perfectly. And so Luka jumps, 2 hands, no look, side-winding bounce pass right through the middle. And the clip is amazing. Tim Cato and I were watching this clip for like 3 or 4 times, looking at how amazing this was. If you didn't see the Bally Sports angle of this and the Bally Sports call on this, Followell lost his mind. Friend of the show, Mark Followell, on the Bally Sports broadcast, loses his mind on this pass. It's not just look at that pass from Luka. It was, he just lost his mind with how amazing this pass was. Cato, I think, is writing about it now. He was asking a bunch of the people afterwards about it. And man, it was just an amazing pass from Luka. And an amazing pass just to run clock down. Just to run the clock down to get that. Lively got frustrated with a call from from a ref. He was Zubac was backing him down. Zubac turned, like pivoted on his foot and then hooked him with his elbow. But Lively got called for a foul there. So Lively gets all animated and amped up, and he's yelling at the ref. And Luka looks over, and not at the ref. Luka looks over at Lively. Instead of joining in with him to complain and to add to it and all that, like he has a lot of times, he just looks over at Lively and he smiles, like this huge smile. And then he goes over to Lively and he just taps his chest with his hand like, let's go. Like, let's go. He loves seeing that from Lively, and he loves seeing him getting fired up about that. And we've seen these little moments from Luka where he's stepping up as a leader. He's stepping up as like the big brother instead of just the little brother that's better than the older brother at everything. He's transitioning into that. And I thought that was just an interesting moment. And an underrated thing about this is that how much like the collective now, Luka feels ownership over this group now. Last thing I'll say is there's a picture that I tweeted at Nick Van Exit that's gone kind of viral. Last I checked, it was at like 2 million views. And there's a picture of Luka screaming. I believe it's I believe it's with 1:26 left in the game. Luka gets the step back on Harden. He takes it, he hits it. Mavs go up by 9. It's their largest lead of the game. He turns over the sidelines, he starts screaming. And the picture's of Luka screaming. And just over Luka's shoulder is Chris Paul sitting on the sidelines with a face of like non-amusement. And you can just imagine what Chris Paul is like remembering. His team, Chris Paul was there because his team was eliminated, the Warriors. And you can just imagine Chris Paul just remembering all the Suns memories from 2022. And I think it's one of the most wild things we've seen. It's completely unrelated because it's Chris Paul, but I just thought it was wild to see him like right behind Luka and to say, man, I've seen that face before. I've seen Luka make that face. I've seen Luka get this excited about a playoff moment before. And I thought that was an interesting, underrated thing in this game. Lots of other underrated things. Tomorrow, Dana Larson is coming on. We're going to talk about we're going to go real or fake. We're going to talk about the things in game 1 and game 2 that are real or fake going into games 3 and 4 in Dallas. We'll do that. And I'm also probably going to have an episode with Darian Vaziri, Locked On Clippers host. We're going to do another crossover, stuff that we saw different in game 1 and 2, things, what can we expect for the next ones. We'll do all that. Stick with us on Locked On Mavs. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
I have to apologize that you felt that he should have played more.
Not that one. Peace out. Boom.